4 years of marriage, and I found out what my wife Camila really thinks of me on a Thursday in January. I came home early because of a burst pipe at work, parked in the driveway and heard her on a video call through the kitchen window. She was talking to her sister Zoe. She called me a pathetic waste of oxygen. No ambition, no spine, no future. Then she said my own mother, Louisa, told her she was ashamed I was her son. Camila laughed about it. Said she married the biggest loser in the state and reminded herself every day just to get through it. Zoe asked when the exit plan was happening. Camila said, my grandmother's estate settles. Next month, 2.5 million. And she already had a lawyer ready. Said this worthless nobody would be homeless by summer. I stood there for 30 seconds. Then I opened my voice recorder app. Yo, a burst pipe saved this man's entire life. A burst pipe. Somewhere there's a plumber who is an actual angel sent from above and doesn't even know it. This dude was living in a whole Truman Show where his wife was performing loving partner for 4 years while keeping a mental countdown timer to payday. And let me tell you something about that 30 seconds of standing there. That's not shock. That's a man's entire reality restructuring itself in real time. Every kiss, every I love you, every moment she held his hand, all of it getting recatalogued under lies while he's standing outside his own kitchen window. But my guy didn't crumble. He didn't storm in. He opened the voice recorder app. That is the moment you know this story is going somewhere beautiful. Camila comes from money. Her family owns commercial real estate across 3 counties. When we met 5 years ago, I was a warehouse supervisor making decent money, but nothing impressive. I thought she saw something in me. Turns out she saw my grandmother's property holdings that I mentioned on our second date. My grandmother raised me after my dad left, and my mom checked out emotionally. When grandma got dementia 2 years ago, Camila suddenly became interested in estate planning. She'd ask about the properties, the accounts, the timeline. I thought she was being supportive. She was taking notes. The reason Camila treats me like this is simple. She never respected me. To her family, I'm the blue-collar guy who got lucky dating up. Her parents made comments at our wedding about hoping their grandchildren would take after their mother. This is what kills me about people like Camila. She already comes from money. Her family owns real estate across 3 counties. She's not some desperate person trying to survive. She's just greedy and lazy. Why build something yourself when you can just marry it and wait? And the audacity of her family at the wedding, making comments about grandchildren taking after the mother in front of everyone tells you exactly how this family operates. They've never hidden their contempt. They just assumed he was too simple to notice. That's the thing about looking down on people you think are beneath you. You get sloppy. You stop hiding. Because why would the warehouse supervisor ever figure it out, right? He's just a stepping stone with a heartbeat. After recording that call, I drove to a parking lot and listened 6 times. Made copies to 3 cloud services before going home. Camila greeted me like nothing happened. Made dinner, kissed me goodnight. I watched her performance and realized I'd been watching it for 4 years. That night, I started planning. My grandmother's estate has conditions Camila doesn't know about. The properties and investments don't work the way she thinks. She's been planning based on assumptions. I've spent 6 weeks talking to people. A family attorney specializing in estate protection, a divorce consultant, my grandmother's original lawyer who helped draft documents Camila has never seen. She thinks she's running out the clock. She has no idea the clock already stopped. Next week, the estate transfers and Camila thinks her plan kicks off. She's wrong. That's when mine does. 6 weeks of watching her kiss him goodnight knowing what he knows. 6 weeks of dinners across the table from someone who described him as a pathetic waste of oxygen. That takes a level of emotional control I genuinely respect. Most people would explode within 24 hours. They'd confront. They'd cry. They'd give away their position. But this man sat across from his predator and let her think she was still hunting while he was building the cage around her. And Grandma set up an ironclad trust years before any of this. That woman looked at her grandson and said, "I'm going to protect you from people you haven't even met yet." That's not estate planning. That's love in legal document form. Camila spent years taking notes on an inheritance she was never going to touch. Update 1. All right, the estate transferred, and Camila's face when she found out the details was worth every second of the last 6 weeks. So, my grandmother's lawyer, Brian, called both of us into his office on Monday for the official reading. Camila dressed up like she was going to a job interview. She kept squeezing my hand in the waiting room, playing the supportive wife role so hard I almost laughed. Brian started reading the documents, and I watched Camila's expression shift in real time. The estate wasn't structured as a lump sum. My grandmother, God bless that woman, set everything up in a protected family trust with me as sole beneficiary and trustee. The properties can't be sold or transferred without approval from a 3-person board: me, Brian, and my grandmother's longtime accountant. The investment accounts have the same protection. Nothing can be touched in a divorce proceeding because none of it is marital property. My grandmother made sure of that years before I even met Camila. Camila started asking questions. Could the trust be modified? Could beneficiaries be added? Could assets be liquidated for living expenses? Brian shut down every single one. The trust is ironclad, and it was designed specifically to protect family assets from exactly the kind of situation I'm now in. I wish I could have been a fly on that wall watching Camila's face go through the 5 stages of grief in real time while a lawyer calmly dismantles 4 years of scheming with words like irrevocable and sole beneficiary. She dressed up for this meeting like she was about to collect a check, hands squeezing in the waiting room. Every question she asked was just her saying, "Wait, wait, wait. There has to be a loophole." I did not waste 4 years of my life for this. Brian's sitting there shutting down every exit route like he's closing airlocks on a sinking ship. This grandmother built a legal fortress from beyond the grave specifically designed to stop people like Camila. The drive home was silent for about 10 minutes. Then Camila started. She wanted to know why I never told her the estate was structured this way. I said I didn't know the details until recently, which was technically true. She asked if we could contest the trust terms. I asked why we would need to do that. That's when things got interesting. Camila said we should have equal access to family money since we're married. She said it wasn't fair that my grandmother made these decisions without considering our marriage. I asked her what exactly she was planning to use the money for. She stumbled over her words. Said investments, home improvements, our future. I asked what future she was imagining. She got quiet. Then she tried a different approach. Started talking about how stressed she's been, how she's been worried about our financial security, how she just wants us to be comfortable. I let her talk for 20 minutes. Every word dug her hole deeper. When we got home, I told her I needed to visit my mother, Louisa, this weekend alone. Camila's face changed immediately. She asked why I needed to go alone. I said, family business. Why would we need to contest it? Is the most devastating question you can ask someone who's trying to rob you but can't admit it out loud. She's standing at a locked vault door realizing she never had the combination. And when she pivots to, we're married. We should have equal access. That's desperation dressed up as principle. Here's the thing I haven't mentioned yet. After I recorded that call, I reached out to my mom for the first time in 8 months. Our relationship has been strained since she remarried a guy named Lloyd, who treats me like an inconvenience. But I needed to know if she really said those things to Camila. He did. But the reason why changes everything, and Camila has no idea. I know. More soon. This is just getting started. Update 2. So, I drove to see my mom, Louisa, on Saturday. She lives about 2 hours away with her husband, Lloyd, in this subdivision where everyone has the same mailbox. Lloyd was out golfing, which was exactly what I wanted. My mom looked nervous when she opened the door. We sat at her kitchen table and I asked her directly, "Did you tell Camila you were ashamed I was your son?" She stared at her coffee for a long time. Then she nodded. But here's what Camila didn't mention in that phone call with Zoe. My mother said those words 3 years ago during a conversation where Camila was crying about how I wasn't ambitious enough, how I didn't push for promotions, how she felt trapped with someone who had no drive. My mom, feeling defensive and guilty about abandoning me emotionally for years, agreed with Camila to make her feel better. One weak moment, one stupid comment made to comfort her daughter-in-law. Camila has been weaponizing that single sentence ever since. But my mom started crying at that table and told me she's regretted saying it every single day. She said Camila calls her monthly and always steers conversations toward my failures. Always reminds her of that comment. Keeps the wound fresh on purpose. My mother apologized. Actually apologized. First time in probably 15 years. Camila is genuinely a psychological warfare specialist. She took one comment from a guilty mother having a weak moment 3 years ago and she's been farming it ever since. When I got home Sunday night, Camila wasn't alone. Her parents were sitting in our living room. Her father started immediately. He wanted to know why I was being difficult about the trust. Said his daughter deserved security. Said I should talk to Brian about adding Camila as a co-beneficiary since we're married and that's what families do. I told him the trust was my grandmother's decision, not mine. He said decisions can be revisited. I said not this one. Then he made a mistake. He mentioned that the house we live in, which Camila and I bought together 3 years ago, has both our names on the mortgage, but her family provided the down payment. He suggested that maybe we should discuss what happens to that investment if things get complicated. Camila looked panicked. She hadn't told her parents about the trust details yet. She just told them I was being unreasonable about money. I smiled and told him that was an excellent point. We should definitely discuss what happens to joint assets. Then I thanked them for coming and went upstairs. Monday morning I filed for divorce. I also filed a motion to force a sale of the house and split proceeds since I've been paying the mortgage alone for 2 years while Camila spent her salary on her lifestyle. She found out when she got served at her office Wednesday. The texts started immediately, dozens of them. She wanted to talk. She wanted to explain. She said I was making a huge mistake. She said we could work this out. I saved every single message. Then I forwarded her lawyer's contact information that I found in her desk weeks ago. Told her to communicate through proper channels from now on. But here's the problem I didn't see coming. Zoe called my workplace Thursday looking for me. She told my supervisor she was my sister-in-law and there was a family emergency. When he found me, she was already on the line. She said Camila was falling apart. She said the family wanted to meet. And then she said something that changed everything. She knew about the recording. Zoe knowing about the recording was actually my fault. I told my mom about it during our conversation and she mentioned it to Lloyd. Lloyd told his golf buddy who happens to work at the same company as Zoe's husband. Small world. Terrible ops on my part. But here's the thing. I didn't care. I wanted Camila to know. I wanted her to understand exactly how long I'd been watching her perform. The family meeting happened at Camila's parents' house on Saturday. Her father, her mother, Zoe, and Camila all sitting in their formal dining room like this was a business negotiation. Camila started talking immediately. She said I took that conversation out of context. She said she was venting to her sister about normal marriage frustrations. She said, every wife complains about her husband sometimes, and I was blowing it out of proportion. I asked her to explain the context where calling your husband a pathetic waste of oxygen and planning to leave him homeless after stealing his inheritance was just normal venting. She couldn't. Her father tried a different approach. He said the recording was illegal and I could face charges. I told him I checked the laws in our state before I ever hit record. One-party consent, completely legal. Then I played it for them. The whole thing. Every word about how worthless I am. How she reminds herself daily what a loser she married. How she already had a lawyer ready. How I'd be homeless by summer. I watched her parents' faces change as they heard their daughter describe her entire marriage as a 4-year investment scheme. Her mother asked Camila if this was true. Camila said I was manipulating the situation. Her mother asked again. Camila went silent. The divorce proceedings moved fast after that. Camila's lawyer dropped her case 2 weeks later. The house sold in March. After the mortgage payoff and splitting what remained, Camila walked away with about $40,000. Her parents refused to give her the down payment back since technically it was a gift on record. She moved in with Zoe temporarily. Then Zoe's husband got tired of the situation and asked her to leave. Last I heard, she was renting a room from a coworker. My mom, Louisa, actually came to the final divorce hearing. She sat behind me. Didn't say much, but she was there. I'm writing this from one of my grandmother's properties. A 3-bedroom house she bought in the 80s that's been sitting empty since she moved into care. Brian helped me get it cleaned up and livable. I visit her every Sunday and tell her about my week. She doesn't always recognize me, but sometimes she squeezes my hand. $40,000. That's what 4 years of performing a fake marriage got her. For years of I love you. 4 years of kissing someone goodnight while thinking about how to leave him homeless. 4 years of calling his mother monthly to keep her believing her own son was worthless. All for $40,000 in a rented room from a coworker. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on a porch at a property my grandmother bought in the 80s, visiting her every Sunday and telling her about my week. And my mom showed up to the hearing. Didn't say much, but she showed up. That's not a movie ending. That's real life. Messy, complicated, but moving in the right direction. Camila sent me one final message after everything was finalized. She wanted to know how I could be so cold, how I could destroy her life over one conversation. I didn't respond, but I thought about what she said on that call. That I'd be homeless by summer. It's July now. I'm sitting on my own porch, and I know exactly where she's staying. Some people really should be more careful about what they say when they think nobody's listening.